Look at Titus 2, 11 to 15, where actually Paul says this, the grace of God that brings salvation teaches us, the Greek word paideia, teaches us, the grace of God teaches us to say no to ungodliness. Isn't that interesting? The grace of God teaches us to say no. The grace. Now, wait a minute, we say. When you tell me that I'm loved and forgiven no matter how I live, that doesn't make me want to say no to ungodliness. That tempts me to say, hey, I'm saved. I'm saved. I'm okay. I can't be condemned. Ungodliness? Maybe a little here or there because I'll be forgiven later. That's not how Paul says. If you understand grace, see, he's talking about costly grace. He's talking about, you don't just think of grace in the abstract. You think of grace coming from a crucified Savior. He says the grace of God teaches you to say no to ungodliness. You know, how does that work? Well, like this. There's a lot of ways to say no to ungodliness. You can say no because I'll look bad. No, because I'll be excluded from the social circles I want to belong to. No, because then God will not give me health, wealth, and happiness. No, because I'll hate myself in the morning and disappoint myself, and I'll have low self-esteem. But you realize what all those motives are? They're selfish. Every one of them selfish. No, because it won't pay off for me in some way. And you know, if you use a selfish motive to try to keep yourself from being ungodly, when ungodliness is selfishness, basically, it's a house of cards and it's going to fall down. And if you're trying to keep yourself from this or that temptation just by saying, don't do that, you know, you'll be punished, something bad will happen, people will find out about it, da-da-da-da, instead of saying, Jesus Christ died so I wouldn't do that. For me to do that is like taking Jesus Christ's blood and throwing it back in his face. How can I treat my Savior like that? See, the grace of God does teach you to say no to ungodliness in a way that it makes you really hate the thing out there that you're being. In other words, sin loses its attractive power. It withers only when the gospel is brought to bear on your temptation. Just beating yourself over the head with bad consequences, telling yourself how dangerous it is. I know how your heart works because it's like my heart. You're going to want it more and more and more and more. Only the gospel withers the desire for it, makes you loathe it, sees the grief it causes God, makes you weep about it. Does the gospel shape the life? Yes. Oh, yes. The gospel shapes the life.